We may be millennials around these parts, but we know by now that TikTok is all about the trends.
Very demure, very mindful.
Some trends fizzle out after a few weeks. Others go on to become evergreen content on the app. Once a month, I like to sit down on my channel and analyze and dissect these virtual conversations. But yeah, trends. Enter underconsumption core. She's been following it closely. She has lots of thoughts.
Underconsumption core is keeping the same reusables so long they watch you graduate high school, college, and get married. It's reusing anything and everything as a pot. Propagating the same plant over and over all over your house instead of buying new house plants.
I'm someone who started YouTube in 2013 as a broke university student making thrift hauls, and then as the channel exploded, I got caught up in the era of endless Lush and fast fashion hauls.
So I think I'm able to put together this video to show you everything that is available, so maybe I can help you to make an informed decision for your next Lush haul. Sit down and get some tea, okay? It's gonna be a long one.
Only to eventually find my way back to sanity during the pandemic when I married a very frugal man who's been wearing the same clothes since I started going out with him, who drives a car from 1990. If you're a subby, if you're part of the family, you probably know I have been in recent years questioning my spending. I slowly but surely have been removing my head from the sand when it comes to how destructive my habits were on the environment. Thanks to TikTok, I now know that there are many folk on the internet who are going the opposite direction.
Why would anyone actually need 30 to 40 to 50 of the same exact cup?
The answer is they wouldn't. One good water bottle, maybe two, you know, if you like to keep one in the car for while you're washing the other one. And this specific water bottle stops 1,000 plastic bottles from entering the ocean. Yeah, before we dive in, I want to introduce today's video sponsor, Ocean Bottle. I reached out to these to ask them would they partner with my channel. I bought a coffee cup from them and fell in love with it, and I just love what they're doing. They've prevented over 1 billion plastic bottles from reaching the ocean since they launched in 2019. All my girlies watching who are still buying single-use plastic bottles on the way to work, on the lunch break, you need to know about this reusable bottles company. They do cups, they do flasks, and with the sale of each Ocean bottle, 11.4 kilograms of plastic is collected globally in coastal areas where plastic pollution is at its worst. These sexy things are made using recycled materials, stainless steel. They have a dual opening function and dishwasher safe design. The little carry loop thingy is my favorite thing ever, and each Ocean bottle comes with a 10-year guarantee. So if you lose your cap, if you snap this handy majiggy, if you want to replace the gaskets inside, you can do all of that for free. I have a 10% off code for you. It's Melanie 10, and you can use that to essentially hit delete on your history of buying single-use plastic bottles. And look, considering the topic of the video, if you have a reusable bottle already, continue to use that, please. If you haven't made the leap to reusables, these are your guys. We shall sip, we shall begin.
Just look at the piles around you, all the clothes you never wear. It's time to join the people who like to share that they really care.
About sustainability.
Underconsumption core, we don't need any more.
All right, I'll stop that. Underconsumption core is a reactionary trend that rejects the overconsumption overload we've all become so used to. It's all about romanticizing using the stuff that you already have. Think videos showing almost empty tubes of skincare with faded branding and makeup products that have hit pan, tubes cut in half to use up every last drop. It's making the consumption of less into a trend, which makes it more searchable. As we're going to get into, simply having it be part of a trend makes it more acceptable to share. This kind of content helps young people to, get on board with it. Trends are the language of the target TikTok demographic, and yeah, it's like traditional marketing tactics are being used to sell the idea of buying less. It's all about making the consumption of less sexy, but less than what, I hear you ask? What is considered a normal amount of consumption? What's considered too much? Isn't under consuming just the same as being poor? Like if you've ever been broke, as I was during university, these TikToks might just look like everyday life for you, but it's important to say we're not here to talk about this as some revolutionary new thing, new idea. I am specifically talking about the packaging of this as a trend, a core. I am obviously, to anyone that has followed me for a long time, a maximalist. I love stuff. I love collecting books, DVDs, perfumes. I like to be surrounded by lots of colour and memories, and I love all of the cores that romanticize stuff, but not stuff for the sake of stuff, if you get me. I love grandma core, cottage core, nostalgia core. These all focus on a love of stuff with great personal meaning attached. These trends absolutely glamorize old pre-loved items. They make dusty old things so much more attractive because with a trend comes a sense of community and shared love. And you know, it's human to want to feel part of something. That desire to feel belonging, it's not just an emotional want, it is an emotional need. You think of teenagers wanting to be part of a peer group at school, or you want to be accepted by your colleagues at work, you want to be picked for a sports team, you want to feel part of a religious group. There is absolutely a bit of social contagion going on with these cores. Social contagion is defined by Oxford Reference as the spread of ideas, attitudes, or behaviour patterns in a group through imitation and conformity. We know that a lot of TikTok users are younger. We know that teenagers are prone to social contagion because at that age, while trying to create or figure out their identity with a brain that has so many synaptic connections going on, making it highly impressionable, as a teenager, one is more susceptible to peer influence and social media. I didn't have social media as a teenager, so when we were teenagers, this was us, this was me. Social contagion, remember that for later. But yeah, so I love stuff, and that is a big disclaimer here. There's nothing wrong with stuff, but there is so much wrong with society's current obsession with overconsumption. This topic isn't about people who can only afford to buy clothing from Primark. I'm talking about people who buy multiple new outfits a week from Shein. Apparently, Shein adds between 2,000 and 10,000 new styles to its platform every single day. Not week, not month, not year. Day. I mean it, Shein is even ruining thrift shopping. Every time I go to the local charity shop, I have to wade through mountains of unworn Shein clothes that people have just bought and never worn and then donated. How did we get here though? How did it become so normal to own multiple outfits with tags still on, each one costing less than your average meal? This mental overconsumption era we're living in has been a long time coming. Over the past few decades, cheap stuff has slowly become more accessible as companies discovered it was far more profitable to sell items with planned shelf lives than to sell quality products. In simple terms, if you're a brand, it's much easier to produce cheap crap, to market the cheap crap like crazy, to sell it knowing the customer will need to buy a replacement. So your brand makes way more money than making products that cost more to create but are built to last, and that's why, for example, most clothes by fast fashion brands don't fit you properly. They don't hold up well after a few washes in the washing machine. Brands don't want those clothes to last in your wardrobe. They want you to go back and buy more clothes. So you have almost everyone buying more cheap stuff and that increases demand, and that creates more jobs, and more collections are released, and you have companies like Temu available at the click of a button. It's not just the celebrities to blame for showing off their ridiculous accessories collections. And by ridiculous, I mean how many pairs of black boots does one person actually need? Though certainly celebrities are part of the problem. We've long been exposed to content creators, average Joes, showing off 20 different lipstick shades every week on their blogs and YouTube channels. And instead of seeing that person's blog or YouTube channel as essentially the modern magazine, which it is, like, what I mean by that is, for years, creators who have reviewed products professionally have been sent a lot of PR to show consumers what's available, to give their opinions.
When you do YouTube videos, brands send you stuff in hopes that you'll talk about it. I'm gonna be brutally honest. I always have been. Yummy browns. So that sounds like you're eating poop.
That's why they originally rose in popularity. Like, you used to, when I was younger, you'd go to a magazine to find out about the latest launches of products, and then with the rise of the internet, you could find someone with like your skin tone and hair color, and maybe you'd like their personality, and they would be just organically posting about makeup products or skincare because they were interested in it, they enjoyed it.
My 2011 beauty favourites. I've seen quite a few videos of this, that doesn't make sense. I've seen quite a few of these videos and I've really enjoyed watching them because I think it's a true representation of things that people really, really like.
I remember thinking, like, you know, this person bought this with their own money, and so this is like a genuine review. They're not being paid to talk about it. It's not like everything in the magazines, which I did discover, you know, those brands were having to pay for placement. And anyway, brands caught on. That little bubble didn't last long. Well, no, the bubble still exists. There's still a lot of us that started this thing as a hobby and are extremely picky about the brands that we partner with. But nowadays there are people who decide, I want my career to be marketing, I want to be an influencer. And what I'm getting at is that didn't used to exist. I remember I had this viral video of me doing acne makeup in my early 20s, and I used a Vichy Dermablend foundation, and in that video it's so grubby and the branding's kind of half rubbed off, and because it was so used, you know. But then Vichy ended up hiring me as a brand ambassador, and that content just was basically me making similar videos but actually getting paid for the promotion that I was giving to the brand. Instead of understanding that these people with these massive collections of makeup palettes and all that, instead of understanding like they're getting sent all this stuff as part of their job because they were such normal people, you know, and it's like, here's my bedroom, here's all my deepest, darkest experiences. It just kind of felt very like a one-sided friendship, like this parasocial relationship. But like seeing that on so many different channels can give this impression that it's normal to have all that stuff, and it's not. It never was. You have your viewer there watching that, and their perception of normal is being rewired. I definitely have more skincare than the average skincare junkie. This face has tried a lot of products. When you make skincare content online, you get sent a lot of PR, like product launches. Brands often send them hoping that you will mention them. You know, it's a lot of free promotion for them. But I only have one face. Then enter TikTok, a platform that decides for you what you are going to watch. It's not like this YouTube shenanigans where you pick on the thumbnails, the titles that you think are most interesting, and you're dedicating 30, 40, 50 minutes to a video. TikTok is like, this is what you want to see. TikTok's a whole new beast. Here on YouTube, it is very different obviously from television in that you do have this kind of like back and forth chat between creator and audience, but it is more traditional when you compare it to TikTok, which is all about organic, authentic interactions and conversations between non-creators. Like, not that they're not creative people, actually some incredibly creative people on TikTok, but they're not making a living from posting content online a lot of the time. That's part of why TikTok is what it is. When you are on TikTok and you see all these quote unquote normal people just sharing how many hand sanitizers they keep in their guest bathroom, and you know, their restocking videos. The restocking videos, I can't cope with them. I can hardly bear to watch them. It's just this complete normalization of excess, multiple versions of the same thing. These videos get massive views and engagement. This is like a whole thing. And when this level of overconsumption is what we're up against, I feel like it was only a matter of time before there was, you know, a proper counter movement. I believe the popularity of content like this 100% increases the lipstick effect, which is when consumers still spend on all these little things during recessions, economic downturns. Like, people will buy little things that they can afford because they can't afford those more big ticket things, and it helps them forget their financial problems temporarily, always temporarily. If you look up TikTok made me buy it, you'll really see the influence of TikTok on people's spending. Seeing all that from lots of non-influencers, non-content creators, that does change your perception of normal. And normal, as it relates to consumption, doesn't really have a definition. But for the sake of this video, I want to say that, let's just say, normal. It is normal to have one moisturizer and to use it up, and then to buy a new moisturizer if you can afford to.
Hi! For those of you who don't know me, I'm Victoria and I'm 15. Yesterday, I posted my Bath & Body Works hand sanitizer pocket bag collection and it went viral. It's at 5.7 million and growing. The funny thing is, this is not even my main collection. I've been collecting lip balms roughly 5 to 7 years, and that was my predominant focus.
All of this is why materialism is everywhere. Now consumerism is the principal driver of economic growth, and so many people rely on it. And then throw in a pandemic where there's this huge increase in disconnection from one another, from the wider community, and you have a world full of lonely people who are seeing more houses on their screens than they are in real life. Like, you know, people are not going into other people's homes and seeing all of the mismatched bedding and the random cups. They're seeing all these aesthetic houses online. I don't know about you, but I'm so jaded. We're so jaded. I know you know about the cost of living crisis. I know you are probably also trying to use less energy to heat your house. So it makes sense why in recent times we've seen more talk about minimalism and de-influencing. I've seen a lot of people say that underconsumption core is just these things repackaged, but I disagree with this. Take de-influencing. De-influencing is a movement that started to discourage people from buying unnecessary items. Happy days. But it has become very much an open invitation for people to bash those who work in the content creation industry, who rely on sponsorships to enable them to create content full time. Think about any TV station that runs ads, you know, during the ad breaks. The show itself that you're watching, and then, you know, there's ads broken up in between it. The creator of that show never had to take that backlash, and influencer has definitely become a dirty word. So there's so many different understandings of what it means to be an influencer. Yes, some people's entire job is to show off new products on Instagram stories and to put affiliate links and that kind of thing. We all know those kinds of people on the internet. Yet, I feel like the majority of the people I follow influence me and others in a positive way. I do see a lot of de-influencing from influencers, the influencers that I follow anyway. And to me, that's always kind of been the point. I have this on my desk. It is an award, and it says, I don't know if you can see it, but Influencer of the Year. I won that a few years ago, and the year that I won that, I was mostly posting about relationships, tummy troubles I was having, creative pursuits like writing, going to protests, movies I liked, how deceptive the internet can be. Because I had a lot of views and I was seen as an influencer, there were brand deals with, you know, products, but one was, for example, period products. I don't see them as unnecessary or something that is, you know, part of overconsumption. Like, people don't typically have a problem with hoarding unused sanitary pads. I also did some work with like hair dye brands and, you know, getting your hair dyed every couple of months. I don't see that as part of overconsumption. While I get and appreciate the kind of message behind a lot of de-influencing content, I know a lot of others who follow influencers that they love and have been very positively influenced by certain influencers to shop secondhand or whatever. Oh, Aunt May! Editing Melanie, stepping in. Basically, I went off on a tangent, but what I was supposed to say to you is that, yeah, a lot of us just felt like people who tend to troll and people who just hate people earning money online and don't like to see it ever happen, kind of have used the de-influencing movement as a justification for their hate. I'm sure a lot of de-influencing content posters don't realise that, but yeah, it's just not a term that I have felt cozy with, at home with, and it can just feel very anti-content creator, anti-influencer. Hate the word influencer, but I am one. And then minimalism, I've just never seen myself in minimalism. I've never been able to identify with it. It is all about rejecting excess and focusing on what's important, sure, but it is an aesthetic. Every single minimalism influencer that I've ever come across has had a certain look, like they're all about like neutrals and, you know, capsule wardrobe this and beige that, and, you know, like, how could I be a minimalist with all of my little trinkets that bring me so much joy? And then the fact that like PR companies would send me stuff to review, I just couldn't see myself in the minimalism content. But under consumption core, I love it.
Underconsumption is trending on this app, so I wanted to share something with you guys. I used to feel a lot of shame for not being able to keep up with the latest and greatest. I always had my hair dyed, my nails done, and the latest fashion on. I envied the people around me who I thought had more than me. I was extremely insecure. I spent money that I didn't have on things that I didn't need to impress people that probably didn't care. And as you can imagine, I was completely unhappy and lost. I mentally, emotionally, and financially just could not keep up anymore until I decided to just release the shame, not care anymore, and now I don't even know what the trends are from day to day.
I can't express how soothing it is to my soul to see like higgledy-piggledy houses. I've always found so much satisfaction in using things up. Like I recently posted about this naked palette that I still use, that I bought in 2014, and I know that's extremely unhygienic, it's probably expired, but I love it so much. I'm just very into getting the most out of my items. Like with any trend, people are definitely mocking this. You know, it's the internet. Some people will set out to misunderstand or to twist this into something that it's not, like twisting it into like a trend where people mock poverty or just like don't get how tone deaf they are. No, I don't accept that. Underconsumption core is not about people who have little to no financial freedom. It's very clearly targeting people who feel the need to keep up with the Joneses, which is a lot of us. We can absolutely have a conversation about choosing against overconsumption, making do with what we have, consuming less than we've been previously consuming, just, you know, making steps in the right direction, while at the same time having separate conversations about incredibly important issues like poverty and inequality. And yeah, we have to address that there is a teeny weeny whiff, a sniff of virtue signaling in the air, like not from everyone using this hashtag, but yeah, there's definitely some people who are seeing this as an opportunity to flaunt how little they consume just to feel that like pat of superiority. I don't know, man, like if someone needs that little bit of, you know, encouraging, like, oh, good, very good for you, if that's gonna keep them doing the right thing, I don't care. There's definitely underconsumption core videos that have been posted that seem a little bit out of place when you look at the creators' other content. Now, I firmly believe that you can joke about anything. And I will argue that with anyone. Like, I don't think there's anything off limits when it comes to comedy. That doesn't mean people have to laugh, you know? You can make a bad joke. And I just don't really think it's that funny to mock people who are trying to reduce their waste or are simply celebrating making do with what they have. It's not a vibe for me, because I see all of this content as a net positive. Criticisms aside, I think any trend that encourages us to appreciate what we have already that little bit more, like, I just think it's a net positive. Algorithms, though. Algorithms and echo chambers. No one is talking about this. I feel like the only people who are going to get served this underconsumption core content are people who are already kind of that way minded. You know, if your usual algorithm serves you all these like Stanley Cup collections and stuff like that, I just can't imagine a wholesome little underconsumption core video making it onto your, you know, TikTok yogi. That's why I feel like videos like this are important, and bringing this conversation to other parts of the internet where the conversation can reach new people. Don't get me wrong, it's great that the conversation is happening on TikTok, because that is where most of this wanky overconsumption porn is. Like, it's TikTok itself is one of the biggest drivers of overconsumption in the world right now, thanks to TikTok Shop. So like, the irony does hurt my face, like it does sting a bit. Weighing all this stuff up, I just don't think it matters, because there's power in numbers. And if you have, like a few years ago, you have a handful of content creators talking about the 5 R's and, you know, trying to preach sustainability, it's so much more powerful to have thousands and thousands of people posting under consumption core TikToks. It is having and will have a way bigger impact. Like, that ripple effect is going to be massive.
I will absolutely die on the hill that being able to train yourself to enjoy living below your means is the ultimate life hack. Being deliberate about what and when to buy, focusing on the necessity and quality will save you so much money in the long run and make you so much more fulfilled with the purchases you do make. Here are a few of the ways that I embrace underconsumption in my life. My car is a 2018 Kia Soul that I managed to pay off last December. You will literally have to pry this car from my cold dead hands before I go back to having a car payment ever again. I will run this car into the ground. I make my coffee at home, and no, we don't have a fancy Nespresso or Breville, just our trusty Keurig that we've had for years, and we literally just buy whatever store brand K-Cups are on sale that week. I'm really proud of this next one. I've gotten my everyday makeup routine down to 5 items, and that maybe goes up to 7 items if it's an evening look.
And the more visible this kind of way of living becomes online, the more that's going to resonate with people, and like the more it'll impact how they think about consuming, whether we realize it or not. That is how socialization works, and media is one of the primary agents of socialization. I learned that in university. That's my degree. My degree is up there. I'm so genuinely fascinated by this stuff. I haven't said this, but in case it's not been made clear, no one is inherently bad for enjoying new things. If you're like me and you like collecting books because you like supporting authors, and you know, every single book is completely different. It's not like water bottles, they all do the same thing. So I would argue that owning hundreds of books is very different to owning hundreds of different colored water bottles, but you may disagree with me. Same way, I think wanting to build a decent wardrobe, that's a valid want, not just because fashion might be one of the only things in someone's life that makes them really excited, but clothing serves many different functions. They have a very real impact on how you're perceived, therefore how you're treated. Our bodies change throughout our lives. There's just so much in that when it comes to fashion. So with this trend, seeing people showing themselves re-wearing clothes over and over and over again, or mending clothes, even making their own clothes, like learning how to knit, learning how to sew. I just think it's lovely. Buying something every once in a while because it brings you so much joy, I see nothing wrong with that. especially if it's something you're really gonna love. And can we acknowledge that, yes, buying something new, it absolutely gives you a little rush, you know, little boost every time we make a new purchase. So you say you buy a new pair of shoes, your brain releases endorphins and dopamine, and then you get another release of those when the shoes arrive at the door. These are nice feelings a lot of us are lacking. We have our own biology working against us. We all know the boost doesn't last very long, and then we need to buy something else. It's a vicious circle, innit? What I just really love about this trend is it's about being more thoughtful about what we bring into our lives, and for those of us with followings, being thoughtful about what we're potentially encouraging in the people consuming our content. What does this look like in action? Right, do I need the latest iPhone if my old crusty iPhone from 7 years ago still works? No, I had the same iPhone for 7 years, even though I was like content creation is and has been my bread and butter for years. Like it was fine, it worked. But do I need to make reels about that with underconsumption core at the start of them? Jesus, maybe I do. Nah, I don't want to. I like making stupid reels about, you know, movies and TV shows. Zero waste involved. I won't be jumping on this trend, but I have been trying to live this trend out online without calling it anything for a long time. Like you probably noticed as well that even in terms of my brand partners for my videos, I usually promote experiences like an app for doing exercise, or HelloFresh, which is a meal delivery service, BetterHelp, who offer therapy. And then when it's items, it's like a mattress, because, you know, we spend a huge proportion of our lives and our relationships in bed. It is rare that I accept payment to promote an item like Ocean Bottle. I do choose my brands very carefully, but big love again to Ocean Bottle for agreeing to work with me over the next few months. I'm absolutely chuffed. I genuinely love to know what you think about this trend, and if you could, please comment down below any and all creators that you can think of that are great examples of this way of life through their content, whether or not they've jumped on the underconsumption core trend. Just because I feel like the more we surround ourselves with this kind of stuff online, the less we will be seduced by the overlords like Shein. I'm gonna leave you today with an outtake from earlier. Ow! My knee, my knee.